Good evening, folks. It's Diamond with the Oppenheimer Ranch Project and Magnetic Reversal News, bringing you a magnetic excursion update Tuesday, February 4th, around 10 p.m. Mountain Time, 2025. Is Santorini Volcano about to erupt? Well, scientists issue a chilling warning. The risk is, in fact, high enough that Greek authorities convened an emergency meeting with the Permanent Scientific Monitoring Committee to discuss the possibility of eruption. More in just a moment. Big news, UAH satellite-based temperatures are in, and the temperature on Earth has dropped 0.2 degrees C in just 9 months. Keep calm. It's boom time. A winter storm to move across the U.S., but the South will see record high temperatures as the jet stream breakdown is getting ever more prevalent due to the reduction in the magnetosphere. And so we're going to be seeing this meridional flow more often. We've got record temps in the southeast from Texas, the nexus of the Schmexis, across to Florida. All of the regions that saw record-breaking snow and record cold just a few weeks ago, well, they are now in the pink. And the big story, the UAH satellite-based temperatures are in. Thank you, Dr. Roy Spencer. And, well, the January temp is quite low. It is, in fact, lower than the temperatures back in 2016 as well as 1998. These spikes on the global temperature graph correspond directly to El Niños. And we just came off the last El Niño. Let me see if I can zoom this out. There we go. We just came off the last 2023, 2024 El Niño peak. And guess what happened to the global temperatures? They peaked 2023, 2024. The last peak was 2015, 2016 for El Nino, and you can see the 2015, 2016 peak right here. Let's take a look at the 1998 peak over on the ENSO. There it is. So the three highest peaks in temperature in modern history all correspond to El Nino, not CO2, not you. How do you like them apples? An atmospheric river is slamming California with heavy rain, and, well, that's the first in a series of many. As snow persists in western Washington with cold temperatures and icy roads that are turning treacherous. Let's take a look at the full forecast. A prolonged atmospheric river continues to impact the West. Impactful winter storm from the Midwest to the Northeast all week. A prolonged atmospheric river event will continue to bring moderate to heavy rain with a risk for flooding to northern and central California with heavy mountain snow in the Sierras and the southern Cascades as well as the northern Rockies through Wednesday. This storm will then transverse across the U.S. and is expected to bring snow and ice from the Midwest through the mid-Atlantic states and New England Wednesday through Thursday. So buckle up, Buttercup. Winter storm watches and warnings are issued. In fact, an ice storm warning for eastern West Virginia, central PA, and western Maryland. It's going to be bad. Some of these regions could pick up to a half of an inch of ice. We've got red flag warnings just east of the Four Corners region and winter storm watches and warnings up for most of the Pacific Northwest, Northern Rockies, and California. Let's run through the GFS model and you'll see how the storm develops and moves across the U.S. Here it is now currently pummeling northern California. Could be a foot of snow in that region as the sun rises. It's going to move over the northern tier, reestablish over the middle of the country here Wednesday into Thursday with that ice storm moving east, accentuated and accelerating on Thursday for the Northeast there in those regions we just called. and then quickly move offshore by Friday as the next system moves into the west and does the same exact thing for next weekend. And guess what? We've got another system coming in and making the same pattern. It is redundant, one after another through February. And because of the thermocline and the cold air to the north and the west and the warm air in the southeast, there will always be a clash here in the middle, which will bring us these ice storms one after another. Let's take a look at how that transfers to snow. Ho, ho, ho. And this is the latest run on the GFS. 3, 6, 9 hours. By tomorrow morning, heavy snow in Idaho, northern Cali, and the Sierra Crests. Moving through here. Wednesday into Thursday, more snow for the Pacific Northwest as that system makes its way to the east here. Wednesday into Thursday. Friday and Saturday, a new system adds more snow to the Pacific Northwest, and then later to the east. Let's run this model through, and it just shows system after system piling up snow in the east. Something big is about to happen in Virginia, potentially here on February 11th and 12th. Now, that's 6 or 7 days out. But the models are agreeing something huge is about to happen on the East Coast. Shut up, Al. Get in your hole. Al Gore says I'm making it up, but I'm just looking at the computer models. Seismic update. Unfortunately, the biggest quake in Greece occurred today as the uptick continues there and evacuations accelerate. We've got some significant activity on the Mid-Atlantic Ridge here, 5.1. Overall, normal activity worldwide. Thousands are fleeing Santorini as dozens of earthquakes above 3 magnitude are rattling Greece. Holy macaroni, what's going on? Is Santorini Volcano about to erupt? Well, scientists have issued a chilling warning. Hundreds of people have been forced to flee the Greek island of Santorini following a swarm of terrifying quakes. In fact, the numbers are in the thousands at this point. Tremors as strong as magnitude 5, with the biggest quake happening today at 5.3, have raised concerns the volcano that forms Santorini's steep, picturesque cliffs could erupt. The risk is high enough that Greek authorities had convened an emergency meeting yesterday with the Permanent Scientific Monitoring Committee to discuss the possibility of an eruption here. Thankfully, Professor David Pyle, a leading volcanologist from the University of Oxford, reassured that the risk of an eruption is still very small. Well, that really doesn't bode well for many people that live there, because the other option is a large earthquake causing a tsunami. And that occurred back in the 1950s, and we'll get to that in just a minute. There is no indication of any changes on Santorini, but there are calderas offshore in this region that have erupted in the past. A quick look at some of the eruptive activity over the last 24 hours. I'm going to refresh it here. The data set has dropped dead, so they're refreshing it, and we really can't get to it. But we can see what has happened here on the map in the last 48 hours of powers. And all of these big quakes are now occurring right here off the flank of Santorini. 5.3 is the biggest one just 15 hours ago. In the set, here we have a 4.5 19 hours ago, a 4.3 19 hours ago, a 4.3 19 hours ago. Wow, what is happening here on the flank of Santorini? Well, we've got some maps. Here is where all the quakes have occurred off the coast of Santorini. Here are some of the fault structures associated. You can see these quakes are not associated with any faults, but they are. You could also see this volcano erupted, I believe, in we'll get to the data, but about 100 years ago, this baby formed. And there's another caldera right here, but there's these massive faults here and here. And all the major quakes are now falling along this fault line. which is bad news. It's the biggest fault with the steepest angle in the region. So a major displacement along this fault will cause a displacement of water and a subsequent tsunami that will hit the coast of all of these islands, including the eastern coast of Santorini. Here is the position of the July 9th, 1956 7+ magnitude that caused a tsunami, and it's the most recent deadly quake in the region, and it may be looking like we're going to get another big quake coming from this fault zone. Or perhaps, just like the fact that Santorini and the magma chamber is on this fissure here, we may be seeing a new volcano forming as well. There is no way to predict what is going to happen. It's going to be one or the other, a large quake or a volcanic eruption. So buckle up, and our thoughts, hearts, and prayers go out to all those folks on Santorini. If we look at the eruptive history, yeah, that caldera we showed you was the 1950 VEI2 eruption confirmed. It is the Nia Kameni Dome and is not the island directly. The island itself made its historic explosion, which is called the Minoan eruption, 1610 BCE, which was the beginning of the end of the Minoan Empire, and definitely a year without a summer. I'm sure it was a bummer. And we have more news in the volcanic realms today. Kilauea entered its 8th phase of eruptive history. The effusive eruption at Halamalu Summit Crater reactivated again on the evening of the 2nd of February. The activity preceded a small spattering at the north vent, and then it kicked up into high gear with vigorous fountaining until 9:52 p.m. local time, and the eruption continues now. A quick look at space weather. We've got a number of active regions now turning away from center disk, a new coronal hole about to face us, and solar activity has been weakening. But at the WSA Enlil spiral, this is the solar wind prediction we use, we can see a small CME did leave the sun from many of these M flares right there. It's leaving. Let's see what the date is here. Okay, so the CME comes out right here on the 3rd, and there's 2 of them. 1, 2, and they will potentially make a glancing blow here on the 7th. Currently, it is not up in the 3-day geomagnetic forecast, but tomorrow this will be updated with geomagnetic storm on February 7th. Mark my words. More fear porn from the lamestream media. This is coming from The Guardian, which is the most leftist rag on the planet. Temperatures at the North Pole are 20 C above average and beyond the ice melting point. It's all over. The Arctic is melting and we're all dead. In fact, scientists say these unusually mild temperatures are linked to cow farts. But I took a quick look at the North Pole, and it might be warm there. And what I mean by warm is -7, which is actually 39 degrees below freezing, and no chance of it getting above freezing anytime soon. Here is the 1, 2, 3. This is the 9-day forecast, and it's showing the highest temperature is -7. Yeah, by Thursday, the 13th of February, the high will be -24 and the low will be -26. So apparently this cherry picking isn't doing them any good, because there is no chance for the North Pole to get above freezing anytime soon until maybe May or June, where it does so just for a month or so. Speaking of getting above freezing, We're entering spring, ding ding. As winter comes to an end, now is the time to start planting your seeds, your starts. You can do it indoors, you can do it in your greenhouse. But if you haven't already planted your tomato plants, regardless of what zone you're in, if you're using seed, it's too late. So do it now. Plant all your peppers, tomatoes, and there are many other things you can be planting now as starts, including all your winter brassicas, cauliflower, including broccoli, kale. All those starts can happen now. We're growing lettuce, arugula, radish, all of it sprouted. And we just came off a week of -10. Holy macaroni. Bertie County Seeds at the Alliance of Native Seed Keepers has the lowest priced open pollinated heirloom seeds on the internet and in the world. Just $2 per pack. We now have 280 varieties up on the website. Ready to be shipped to you now, including all of the varieties you could ever ask for, forever and ever, and even more. Everything that's available on the market is available at Bertie County Seeds at almost half the price. Yeah, and it's delivered in such a fantastic way. Their new seed packs have been redesigned. They're not like any other company. On the pack, it gives you all the information you could ever need about grow zones, planting, harvesting, seed sowing, and on and on. It is the most inclusive seed pack in the industry, and we support them for that reason. So support your preparedness, get your free food going, eliminate pesticides from your diet by growing your own food. Do it now. Do it. Rex Bear and I are going to be taking a trip in just a few days, and we'll be live streaming a lot of it, and we'll be uploading during the day as we head towards the Nogales Cliff House in New Mexico. And we're going to be seeing some amazing cliff dwellings as well as petroglyphs, and we'll take you along with us on the journey. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be happening Thursday or Friday. And that's a boom to knowledge. Please hit the thumbs up. It helps with the algorithm. We've been shadow banned on Oppenheimer Ranch Project, demonetized at Magnetic Reversal News, and we need your support like never before. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Half the people watching this are unsubscribed. We could use your support. Be safe. We love you, and we'll see you all in the desert in just a few days.